Louis Cemetery #1 is a fascinating place, especially on Halloween.
But the Archdiocese closed the cemetery to the public in 2015 following the restoration of Marie Laveau's tomb. So, who better to take us inside than reporter turned tour guide Bill Capo, and he shares his own special connection to Laveau. St. Louis Cemetery #1 is a busy place on Halloween. People lining up down the block and pulling up by the busload. There's a familiar face hopping off one of those buses.
Happy Halloween, Channel 4.
Even in costume, you can't miss former action reporter Bill Capo, now a Gray Line tour guide. He has a few simple rules.
One, don't pull pieces of graves off. Don't open the graves. Don't pull out body parts.
It makes sense that Capo, who spent decades sharing stories at Channel 4, now shares stories with visitors from around the world.
For 43 years, I stared at a television camera, and now I talk to people, I catch their reactions. Y'all having a good time?
Always the action reporter, he's quick to point out tombs that need repairs.
Now, there's got to be a pothole somewhere. Not in a cemetery. Take a look up. Anybody notice? Anybody need a shady spot to rest this afternoon?
And that's where his past and present collide.
For a complex restoration like this, the price tag is about $10,000.
In late 2013, someone painted the famous tomb of voodoo priestess Marie Laveau pink. Power washing did more damage.
The Archdiocese called me as the action reporter for Channel 4, asked me to help raise the $10,000.
And he did. Now the tomb stands fully restored, although tourists still try to get some good luck from Laveau by leaving 3 X's.
You can Google 3 X's, the significance of 3 X's in the voodoo world. There is none.
And Bill Capo is there to set them straight.
It is quite a sense of relief to know that I've had a little role in saving history.
I'm loving that getup.
I will say the people that end up on his tour are so lucky because, as you know, I mean, he's a fantastic storyteller. So
Without a doubt. I liked the costume too.
I know he looked great. Great way to spend Halloween afternoon.